Welcome to the podcast, David Correos. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, Mr. Owen. Thank you for having me. What an honour.
Thank you so much for joining me. And I said before, thank you for putting a shirt on because, you know, I love people who make the effort. Because I was thinking, if he doesn't wear the shirt, I'm just going to look like an idiot. Same with Guy if he doesn't come on with a bucket hat and I'm just sat here with a bucket hat on.
Nice. Yeah, man. Yeah, I respect the show. I'll put on a shirt for you, you know. Even got a collar. I won't do all my buttons up. I don't want to have that kind of vibe about whatever we're going to do today. So I unbuttoned a couple. I think I've got like 4 buttons undone for you.
4 buttons
Owen.
undone.
Yeah.
That's good enough. That's good enough for me. It's good enough for the podcast.
Yeah, all good.
All good. Is good. Honestly, I'm a big fan of your work. I've watched some of your stand-up, and of course, you've been on Taskmaster. And from watching both, it is so joyous and so chaotic. Like you were, you were the perfect person to go on Taskmaster. So, what was the whole experience like for you?
Oh, first of all, thank you, bro. That's really kind of you to say. The experience was like, it was surreal. Like the aftermath of what's happened now is blown me out of the water. It's crazy that people enjoy what I do. Prior to this, I didn't really have much like work going into TV. I was just kind of trying to do like stand up and like find my own little niche online. And then like about 2 years ago, I got a message from a production company, and they were like, "Hey, can you do some like tasks for us? We're trying to like rehearse the live tasks for season 1, and we need like a guinea pig to do it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Didn't really think much of it. I knew what Taskmaster was. I was like, "Awesome." I came on, and then after it, they emailed me like 3 months later, and they were like, "Hey, do you want a spot on the show?" And I was like, "Oh," and they were like, "Yeah, that live thing was kind of like like a little audition, and you did very well, so we want to get you on."
Wow, that's brilliant. What was the live task that they made you do?
So it was, I think they were mainly the ones from season 1. So the ones that I remember, and I don't think all of them made them on. But one of them was Paint New Zealand with Marmite. I remember doing that one and screwing it up really badly. I remember doing the spaghetti karate chop one as well. And I like, after I did it, I was like, I should have gone with way more spaghetti. But the one that like Bronwyn, who was the producer of New Zealand Taskmaster, she said that she was very impressed with the one task that we had to do where we had to stand up closest to when the popcorn pops. So they had like a pot of popcorn, and the one who stands up closest to it wins. And so I went into that going, if no one can hear the popping, I have a better chance of winning. So I screamed throughout the whole time leading up to the popcorn pop, so it would confuse everyone. And she was like, "Yeah, that was a really interesting way to go about it."
I think after that they must have like, we've got to get this guy on the show. We've got to. So
see, I'm a risk. Like in New Zealand, I understand. Like I'm looking at this from I understand what I am, but in the eyes of New Zealand TV, I am a risk. Yes. I can be quite chaotic, and I think what you saw in New Zealand Taskmaster, just to give you a scope, that's about a 4 of like how chaotic I can get.
Really?
And I understood that I had to hit it at that kind of level to be able to make it across the line on this TV show, because I've done other shows where I would like try to derive chaos from properly losing control, e.g. getting really drunk and just seeing what would happen. And then after a couple of those, I kind of realized, okay, well, that is definitely not something that works for me. Alcohol should never be mixed in with, your performance, because it's not fair for anyone. Like, people didn't pay to watch a guy get drunk and go hard. People paid to watch someone be funny at their highest level. And what was great was coming into Taskmaster, I'd kind of already gone through like an arc of like realizing that the drinking had to stop. And so going into Taskmaster, I was like, I have to do the sober, I have to be at my sharpest, but I can still allow myself to have full fun and just let myself go. I don't need alcohol to fully let myself go. And I think I was really happy that Taskmaster came now than earlier on in my career. Otherwise, it could have been a real shambles.
Oh, brilliant. It could have went that way with the Scotch task. When you come out and you go, I'm not drinking, and there's just a table of shots.
Yeah, I looked at that. I looked at those shots. Good remembering. But yeah, I looked at those shots. I thought it was apple juice until I put my nose next to it. And I was like, oh, this is alcohol. Oh. And it like in my head, I was like, do I drink it? And I was like, no, don't do that. And so glad that Laura bit the bullet on that one and was the drinking contestant, because I think it's still great. In that moment, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, of course. So what has the reaction been like since you've appeared on the show?
It's been crazy. It's been really crazy. In New Zealand, in the New Zealand comedy scene, there's a couple of things that kind of happened. One, New Zealand hates New Zealand comedy. Like, we suffer really badly when it comes to cultural cringe. Like, for the longest time, comedians we're like the bridge trolls of the entertainment industry over here. Like, sports people are like 3 levels higher than comedians, and so you just constantly got this uphill battle where, like, every time you go online, every time you go on a news website, someone does an article on comedians or something like that, you'll always see comments being like, oh, the biggest joke is the fact that New Zealand thinks they have comedians and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the first episode of New Zealand Taskmaster got like a middling review from like the main news website, where it was like, the show's all over the place. It's not that funny. They rely too much on green screen. It's like, it's never going to live up to the UK, Taskmaster. And that's the sentiment with all comedy in New Zealand. And so for someone overseas to go, this is great, we love this, and to be able to have like people actually commenting on it, people on Twitter messaging you, it's like you're just over the moon. You're just over the moon about the whole thing, and it's just so nice and wonderful, and it feels really good.
Yeah. Why do you think it was so well received over here, especially in the UK? Obviously, it's all over the world, but why do you think it was so well received here? Because obviously, people from Britain, they're so stubborn and stuck in their ways, and I was probably one of those people, because I watched the American version and it was shit. It just didn't coincide. The comedy wasn't right, the timing. I don't think the contestants were in it. There wasn't any sort of banter between the contestants or the Taskmaster. And obviously it was Alex, the original guy who was there in America trying to force it, and it just wasn't well received at all. And
so what you've just said is exactly what I thought the UK audience would think about our season. I remember watching like reviews of the US Taskmaster, like just after I got it, I was like, I need to do my research. Oh no.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that, and I remember going, this will fit perfectly with how they will describe our season of Taskmaster. And it wasn't until like deep in the studio record that I finally got won over, because Guy had said to me, I think we've made something really good here. And I was like, okay, I guess we can rest on that. Like people tell you, they're like, this is really good, David, but because there's no one laughing and there's no one in the room, you're your own worst critic. Like, you can't tell someone, yeah, I did really well. How do you know? I don't know. No one was laughing. It was completely silent. But I remember being very worried that I was going to be season 2's Lisa Lampanelli, because I scream a lot. I'm really I can be like obnoxiously loud. And I was like, oh, they're just going to find me just the white noise of the show. And so to see the complete flip side of that and see so many positive comments, wonderful.
Yeah,
Really
I
great.
know. I don't know why it wasn't that, you know, the American one for everyone. I think especially Lisa. I think Lisa really got a lot of backlash from Taskmaster fans saying, you know, the way she talks to Alex and the way she went about Tas, you know, and she was just like a loose cannon. Were you thinking, oh shit, I've got to like sort of rein it in a little bit? Did you ever think that?
Yes, fully reined it in. I remember when I got nude for the tie task, I was like, afterwards, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, why did I do that? That was like, that wasn't creative. It's different to the room one, because the room one was like legit. I didn't know what was happening, but the tie one, I was like, I should have done something else, you know.
At least
but you can't, because in the moment you're like, that's all we have. What was that? Sorry.
You painted the tie on you. That was a bit creative.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. So, and I've got to tell you, I'm part of this Taskmaster like Facebook fan page, and by the way, it has 20,000 people in this fan page. Laura thought there was like 3 of us in it. Like when I was asking the question, didn't realise there was loads of us. And honestly, there's nothing but praise for your series, and you are constantly in memes that have sent in. Like,
oh man.
Even now the series is over, we get at least one David Correos meme a day. You know.
Can you please send me some of these? I want to see them.
Yeah, of course. So, and I've got to say, what was the main reason you said yes to going on the show?
I think the main reason I said yes was because I'd had people beforehand telling me that Taskmaster would suit my style, and also I had seen my friend Angela had also done it, and I was like, oh wow, I'd seen like how much fun she'd had on the show, and I was like, I would definitely be keen to be a part of that. And it was the first time it was like finally a show that kind of lent into my strengths, rather than like a panel show where I had to like banter all the time or come up with gags, which has never been my strong point. Like I really try work on that skill, but when I'm put up against other comics who are very good at that part of the craft, I always feel like I just flounder and I have nothing to go with. And with Taskmaster, it's all real and everyone's on the same, like at the same wavelength. No one's got anything prepped. So it feels like an even playing field. Like I feel like I don't have to come in with the jabs, and I'm watching Ursula and Guy and I'm like, oh, they're the ones holding up the energy the whole time, which means I can just like kind of sit back, and then when something happens, that's when I can go in. Because the editing, they erase like that. It's the fact that it's like 2.5 hours. And that if you actually look at the whole thing, I don't really say much compared to like Ursula and Guy. Ursula and Guy held that whole thing together. And I would just remember watching them in awe, going, wow, Guy, how is everything coming out of your mouth landing this hard? It's so good. That man is so good with the words.
Yeah, the way he just came up with these random sayings during the shows, and I think the first thing that he said that I was crying at was the first episode when Laura brought in the green M&M chocolate, and he just turned around and went, I think we can all agree it's a very fuckable chocolate. And yes. I was crying with laughter.
It's like, and it's in the room as well. Like it's in the room, you hear the pop and you're like, wow. And then at the time you're like, is this going to translate? And then you see people pick it up and you're like, what? They get it. Yes, it works. Yeah.
Another thing, I think why it was so well received over here is definitely the swearing. Because we're all in awe how Kiwis have this great ability to swear with such elegance. It's great. We love the swearing.
Yes, yeah, fuck yeah, fucking yes. So elegant. Really know my way around the fuck. Yeah, shit, bitch. Yeah. I don't know. It was like, I feel like we, I don't know if that's like a fair representation of like New Zealanders, but us as a group, we were just, I don't know, once a fuck was dropped, we were like, okay, no holds barred, let's go. We're unfiltered.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, obviously, it's, I'm guessing a comedian thing. Like, I've never seen, like, Jacinda maybe throw one into a speech.
I would love to hear on what right now we're currently in a deep lockdown. I would just love to hear Jacinda get up on a 4 p.m. Meeting on the media and just be like, guys, shit's fucked. I think everyone would resonate with that so well. I think it's also because like I don't know. I feel like when I go to the UK or when I see UK shows, it's almost like a fuck can really like, what's the word? Lessen a show.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like too much swearing. People go, oh, it kind of like turns me off, and you kind of see it, and they're so funny, and they're so well tuned in to that world of like not swearing because of like broadcasting standards. Matt is very good at it. He may have dropped 5 cunts, but that man knows how to hold back a swear word. He didn't swear. He wasn't swearing at all. And I was like, how do you do it? He's like, oh, it's just I think it's just broadcasting.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, this guy does breakfast radio. You know, it's one of those. I can imagine him like screaming it just before he goes on, and then he's on. the mic's live.
I don't know if you've listened to their breakfast show, but it's one of the most cooked breakfast shows in New Zealand. I love that his show is almost like a flip of like morning radio, you know? I don't know how to describe it. It just, the whole show just feels so tongue in cheek. Like everyone's in on the joke.
Of course, and he had that connection with Jeremy, so he knew a few people before going on the show. So what was it like with you? Did you know any other contestants before going on the show?
Yeah, so Laura and Guy and I are all part of the same improv group called Snort. I recently joined like a year ago, so I'm kind of new to that, but Guy and Laura have been doing that together for about 7 years now. Ursula, like I've gigged with her from like time to time, like just done like some out of town gigs where she's probably the headliner and I'm there doing like a middle spot, like just 15 minutes with her. And every time I've met her there, that was really cool. But it was the first time I properly got to know her, and it was really fun and just a real honor to be able to like kind of see eye to eye with a comic at that level, because in New Zealand, she's like superstar. Her story is that her mates signed her up for a comedy gig and she was working at an advertising agency. I don't know if you've heard this story, but she's just working at an advertising agency. One of her mates was like, we've signed you up. She goes, okay, fine then. Does it. And then she got into the finals of like the raw comedy competition here, like the newcomers competition from that first gig. And ever since then, she's had probably the fastest rise from like beginner to headliner in New Zealand. And so to be able to like work alongside her was so cool.
Wow, I know. I've seen that she is basically on every show in New Zealand and Australia. I've seen her like being on Australian TV shows as well. So, you know, and she is so funny on it. Well, they all were. Like even Matt. Like how would you expect Matt, because obviously he's not a comedian. How did you see?
Very funny though.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Like how did you go? How is this guy keeping up with these guys? Because you know you're all trained comedians, and the whole thing is to be funny. Like, was there ever like is there like an out funny each other, or is it like because it is we all film the same task, everyone sort of gets their moment to shine? And do you sort of prefer that than rather being on a panel show?
I love that. I love that everyone gets a turn. It takes away the competition side of it. Like it feels more like you're just a bunch of mates all having a crack at each other, and it just you just start to find like a real nice balance, and like the little alliances that you make just makes it so much more fun. And I think like me and Matt really just played into the whole like we had almost like a pro wrestling relationship where you know we'd egg each other on and we'd go at each other, but then like off stage we're like, that was really fun, like, oh, that was so great. And I also I will praise everyone on this lineup. Matt like broke down so many walls in terms of like alternative comedy in media. He had a show back in the day called Back of the Y, and it was one of the craziest shows that I think New Zealand's ever made. It was like a mixture of like almost like Tim and Eric type sketch comedy with also like jackass stunts combined. Do you remember the show Balls of Steel?
Balls of Steel. I've heard of Balls of Steel.
Back in the day, there was a show in the UK called Balls of Steel, and there was like a variety sketch show where people would submit sketches, and they'd have the same people on. There was one called Randy Campbell who would do like stuntman stuff. Matt Heath is the guy behind that sketch show. So this isn't his first time on UK television. Like the man is so comedically like in it. He doesn't have a stand-up background, but he's definitely a comedian.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's just a running joke. It's just a running joke, I think, like the Taskmaster thing. It's just funny, and the fact that he's willing to like go along with it just shows how much of a giving performer he is.
Absolutely, and it felt not competitive. I think definitely between Laura and Guy, I can definitely see them going, right, why are you getting more points than me there and stuff like that. So I think it was competitive between them, but as a whole, I really think it was such a tight-knit group. And I think you all really got on so well. And I think that's what people, resonated with people so much, is that it was basically just a bunch of friends doing stupid stuff, trying to get points off this guy in a suit.
And I really hope that that like bleeds through in the next coming seasons. Like if we get more seasons, I think that's one of the strengths New Zealand Taskmaster has, is that the comedy community is so small that we're able to have create that relationship so early off the bat. And I mean, I'm friends with all of them, but our friendship grew so strong over that series, like beyond whatever I expected it to be. So I really hope that New Zealand keeps making them, because we've got so many great comedians that I really am excited for the rest of the world to get to know.
Oh, for sure. I need more Taskmaster in my life, especially New Zealand Taskmaster. It's brilliant. But what was your main goal of going on the show? Was winning ever in your sights?
No, I never really thought of winning. Like when I watched Taskmaster, I kind of clicked on pretty quickly that the show isn't about winning, and that sometimes being scored low is the better option. Because then you're like, well, there's a moment in there, and we can kind of work that out, and that's I'm happy for that. I would rather service the joke than try to focus on the points. But I remember thinking, there's no way Jeremy's gonna get me. There's no way he's gonna really fire me up on this. But he threw me some absolute curveballs, and when he would give you a 1 for certain tasks, it actually hurts, because you're like, I don't give a shit about the points, but I put a lot of effort into that, and you're gonna give me 1 point, huh? Oh my goodness. I legit, when the Make Your Hometown Proud, when I got 1 point for that, I almost cried, because I spent a whole day with Paul in a car, just driving around Christchurch, hours, Owen, driving around a car. I was like, this is it. This is and I've gone to every single place that genuinely meant something to me. I was like, these malls, there were other photos in there too. I was like, every single one of these places, if you're from Christchurch, you will get what I'm doing. And so for Jeremy to go, it's not that great. I was like, oh, bro, I tried so hard. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was intense.
Is that the one where you disagreed with him the most on any task?
Yes, that's the only one. That's the only one that properly cracked me. And at the end, I had to go back. I sheepishly went up to him and was like, hey bro, Like, that was all right, right? It's like, yeah, man. Like, you know, and he just came into me. He just came in. We had like a nice chat. And he was like, you know, the fun part about Taskmaster is the highs and lows within it. And like, you know, at the end of the day, it's a show. He's like, you don't need to take anything personally. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. And I think after that, I kind of like just let go a lot more and was just able to kind of work through it.
Yeah, of course. And talking of highs and lows, I think you've had the most highs and lows of any contestant ever.
Like, they really tested me, eh?
I've never seen someone so defeated after a task. Like, you looked exhausted, even like you probably filmed the task ages ago. You couldn't. You still looked like you had been affected by by some of these tasks. Like, especially. Because I'll go over some of my standout tasks from you, but we have to talk about the solo task that was given to you in the last episode. Untie these shoelaces, fastest wins. You know, this was the most buttons I saw undone. Like, you looked like you come in from a heavy night out and you're just contemplating life.
Oh, bro, you have no idea. You have no, like, I remember, and I don't think I've said this, but I remember seeing, I got to untie the shoelaces, being in front of the desk, and then in my head, backtracking, knowing that I have to go all the way back out to the car park. And I was like, and at that point, I was already like, oh my gosh, I have to do this? That's like at least 30 meters to get out to the car park. Oh no. And I remember sitting there. I sat there for like a couple of minutes going, I gotta, like, you know, I can just get through this real slowly. And I don't know what happened, but someone must have pulled the shoelace, because the first couple of shoelaces were super tight. And they were so tight that after untying 2, I was like, I can't stay here. I have to like bundle this up, get myself comfortable, and then go for it. And when I walked out and saw the line keep going, I was like, oh no, just thinking that it was going to be a line.
Yeah.
And when I saw that spider cave of laces, that reaction that I gave looked less than how I felt on the inside. I thought I had my arms flailing. I thought I was screaming. I thought I had my hands in my face in my hand. When I looked at my reaction, I was like, bro, you felt way worse than that when that happened. And then just getting through it was just like, oh, a nightmare.
Yeah. Like, I think it's the first time they've done a solo task in a New Zealand series, I think. And it was definitely the first one of this series.
The last season was, and I would rather do shoelaces any day compared to last season's solo task. It was Guy Williams doing a level 1 NCEA maths exam, which is like a maths exam for a 15-year-old, right?
Oh my God.
And it was like, I remember seeing that like for the first time, and that made my jaw like drop on the floor, because I was like, that is my worst nightmare, for people to realize like how dumb and bad I am at math. You can humiliate me with untying shit. If it's menial work, fine. Don't make fun of my intelligence though, please.
That's the thing. There's a one similar to yours in the UK show, which was one of the first series, where they got Josh Widdicombe to just count loads of stuff out. Like, they got him like counting beans out of a can. They got him counting like grains of rice out of a packet of rice. And yours was like that task, but on coke. Like, it was insane. It was insane how they had to, like, I think it was 2 hours and 12 seconds, I think.
Yeah. I remember going, when I was sitting on the chair, I was like, if I could get this close to 2 hours, I'll be very, very happy with myself. I didn't want like an odd number. And like what you were saying about Josh's one, he still janked his way through it. Like, he found a way to do it faster. My one, there was no way. Paul was like, they didn't include this, but Paul would keep telling me, no, you're not allowed to cut them. No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to use scissors because there were several times I was like, I could just cut them. And he's like, I wouldn't like that. And then I was like, because I didn't want to upset Paul, that's all he had to say for me to just throw that idea out of my head. And I was like, I just have to do this. And so I spent most of that time just trying to perfect my tooth tying skills.
That's how it is. Do you get nightmares now when you like have to take your shoes off? Like,
I think in terms of like actual torture, because like context, I'd already gone through the caravan task. I'd already gone through the beans task. I'd already gone through the sunscreen task, right? And so by this point, that kind of prepped me for like me to be able to handle the shoelace task. And so I was kind of like fine with it. And because by the end of it, I kind of had something to show for it. Like I was able to show, look, I actually did this and I'm proud of it. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to trick a man into being proud of himself for untying shoelaces. Give him 400. Let him do it for 2 hours. He'll be very proud of that very easy task. But it wasn't like I remember the sunscreen task was very cutting because that was the first one that I truly failed. And because the director had even like at the end of the slide, I tested it and it worked really well. The director had even put a camera at the end of the hydra-slide to get that really nice shot of me finally getting the sunscreen to touch the thing, right? Everything was really looking good. And then for Paul to just go, stop, and have it all kind of, I felt the blood drain from my face and just leave my toes. It was so heartbreaking. That scream that you heard was very real. It was a very real scream. But then it quickly got washed over because I remembered this is just for TV. You didn't lose any money. You didn't lose anything out of this. You actually made better TV because you failed. So
you made better TV.
I got inside. Yeah, when I got inside, I was really stoked.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt told me that that sunscreen one was supposed to be like a tie-break task, but because everyone went crazy and started doing mad stuff for it, they had to put it in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just one of those like those golden moments where you couldn't plan that, you couldn't go for it. I think it's because they didn't include your time starts. They didn't include a time limit. The moment you put a time limit, all of your ideas go out the window. And so the task became no longer a tiebreaker task. It became a creativity task. I was like, sweet, the circle's open. I can tackle this any way I want. And so I went hydra-slide. That will win me this. This is going to make up for every science fair that I grew up with failing and not figuring out how to get the fucking balloon with the bullshit popsicle stick across the line without any helium, and made up for all of those science fair projects. I was like, this is my science fair project. I'm going to nail this. Fucked it up.
the using it as a sort of mouthwash as well. That just going and spitting it out. It was such a harrowing image at the end when you were on your knees screaming a deep scream that you've probably never done before, and just the wet sunscreen just dribbling out of your mouth as well.
I put it in my mouth. People always go, why did you put it in your mouth? I did it because you can't test the viscosity of sunscreen coming out of a tube when you pump it. All you got to go is with the length. So I was like, if I do it in my mouth, I'll be able to feel how thin the sunscreen was. And I can keep just adding water and then shaking it. I was like, this is a very smart way. I like my threshold for self-respect in front of the camera is very low. It's not the worst thing I've done. So I was like, sweet, I'll use that to my advantage.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. And the hydra-slide is such a great idea. With those creative tasks, like, is it just complete panic for the whole of it? Like, how do you sort of settle that sort of anxiety? Like, I have to come up with something not only that works, but something that's funny as well. Like, how much pressure is that?
I think like when you go into the tasks, and this is like, I think this is something you only learn like later as a comedian. And it also falls under the umbrella of like being comfortable with silence. But sometimes not trying to service a joke or trying to service like an end gag will actually be funnier than anything you can come up with. And also my style as well is very like trial and error. Like if something, like I'm very quick to change tact in my comedy as well. So if something's not working, I'm not married to the idea. I'll let it grow into something else. And so when I'm given a time limit, I have to quickly know if something's not working, dump it, go for something else, which means that I have to be moving from the very beginning. I have to be going towards some kind of goal. It doesn't matter about being funny. But if you're standing in front of the table with nothing in front of you, nothing's going to happen. But if you read that task and you go into the props room or whatever crafts room they have and you start putting paper down and you put all the paint and stuff in front of you, you're like, okay, what can I see? Is there something here that I can make? And the task that I think really shafted me, the one that I really regret, was the time travel task.
Yes, yeah.
The time travel task was like, that was the sign of me committing to my first idea and then just running with it. And the fact that I was already in a car with a clock strapped to my ass on my way to Helensville, I was like, I can't go back. This is the bit. Like, this is all I can do. And I just remember the banter being like, this banter is so boring. And so I remember thinking, oh man, if this task comes up, I better have a good reason for why this is. And then I completely got exposed by everyone. Guy even turned to me and I mean, bro, what happened? Was that one of the first early tasks? He's like, yeah, man, I just shat the bed. I just couldn't come up with anything.
Anyway, you've always got that default thought of, should I just get naked?
Yeah. I've time traveled to how I looked when I came out of my mother. You know, but yeah. Glad I didn't do that.
No. I can just imagine Paul coming in like cutting the umbilical cord. That'd be good.
He already had to put that up with Angela, having to like recreate birth with Angela. I thought that was really funny how she had a water bottle like without a lid just pouring on the floor. It's like, oh, my water broke. Such a good gag. Oh, she's so good.
Yeah, and obviously from seeing, you mentioned Angela there. She appeared in your series, and I think it was you that found her in the camcorder task where you had to film Paul. Like, I want to know, was she there for everyone, or was she there just for everyone? You? Really?
She was there for everyone, and I was the only one that lifted up her head. So everyone at the end found out that Angela was there. But like beforehand, they were like, I think they came up to me and was like, we're really glad you took the head off there. that costume. And just to see Angela there was really, but I was also really in the task. So I couldn't just full on give her a hug and be like, yeah, I was still like in that task mode.
I was going to say, the reaction wasn't like, oh my God, it's Anya. You just went, oh, it's Angela. Hi. like she's been there the whole time.
Yeah. I was just like, oh yeah. I guess we're really close friends. And like when we see each other, it's like, oh, awesome. Glad to have you here. And then I think later on after the task, we hung out in the green room and just caught up. And I was so happy that she was there. And it was a really lovely time.
And to see Angela do so well on the first series, did you ever think, could I do the same here? Like, because she was so for everything with Angela, like especially the costume underneath the costume where she just lay down on the floor, and that was hilarious. Like, did you ever think, I've got to compete with not just the people you're with, but like people from the other earlier series?
Yeah, definitely. Like me and Angela are really close. We both met each other when we were just starting out comedy. I just moved up to Auckland, coming up from Christchurch, and Auckland's like the mecca of New Zealand comedy. That's where you go to try like really make it a job and a career. And I remember on my first day moving up to Auckland, Guy Montgomery had actually asked me to do an ad that he and Tim Batt had written. And so we all got to go to this ad, and they used new comics or raw comics as like all the extras and the actors. And I remember on that day, it was me, Angela Dravid, and also Melanie Bracewell. And we all kind of like, that was the first time we all kind of met. And I just remember being so enamored by how funny and just like a little off kilter Angela was. I remember she had like a Ziploc bag of cereal, like with the milk in her handbag, and she pulled it out. I was like, what is this? She's like, yeah, I just always have to have like lunch with me. And then she says it in like her deadpan way, and you're just cracking. You're so funny. And so our relationship really grew together. We really became like brother and sisters. But we also, when we first started hanging out, we had like, it was like a weird kind of like quasi fake rivalry kind of thing going on. And I think I remember when we were first kind of hanging out, we'd like message each other, and we would just like, and I hope she'd find with me telling her this, but we would like critique each other's jokes and each other's styles, and like kind of like roast each other's styles. And I remember we both kind of like got a little bit like hurt from it, but then afterwards we were like, actually we're really great, and we're really great friends, and we have a lot of like intersecting type what do you call it? What's the word? God, not hobbies, but interests. We both had similar interests, but we were both also very different. I think we're very like opposite ends of the spectrum. And so like hearing her talk and hearing her make jokes it always catches me off guard, and it's so incredible. I remember one time we did a show together and we had to like debate each other, and I had spent like 2 minutes going hard, just like it's not like screaming, trying to get my point across, blah blah blah, regular Taskmaster shit. And then it just went to silence. Came to her turn. She waited. She paused, and the first thing she said was, "The emptiest drum always makes the loudest noise."
Wow!
And it just summed up. It just burnt. It just roasted every single thing I'd been doing for like the last like 2-3 minutes, and it just got this huge pop. And I just stood there stunned, going, "That was incredible. How did you come up with that?" She's really good. She's so good at just coming up with these little gags, and you know that it's not like she doesn't prep. She's got no prep. Her brain's just that quick. She will analyze it, look at it from afar, and boom, find a gag for it. And you're like, okay. She could do an hour of crowd work, and people would turn out and be like, "Holy shit, that was a great show."
Yeah, wow, it is. I'm working with other comedians, sort of links to the team tasks as well in the show. How did you get on with your team? Obviously, you're already a part of the improv group that you're a part of. So were you pretty stoked to have Guy and Laura on your team?
Yeah, because I look at that group and I go, we're all very different comics, and we all work together. We all work very differently. And I remember the Weet-Bix task was the first one that we did. And that was the one where we kind of find our groove. But then after that, that's when I realized, oh, Guy is a very good wordsmith. Laura is just like an incredible performer, an incredible musical performer. And I just have to go in there and just try to break everything. I just break everything that everyone else is trying to do, but while also being like a team player as well. I remember at the first task that we did together, we couldn't really find a leader. Because in my head, I was like, Guy, you're obviously the leader. Can you just direct us where we want to go? And I remember just really, really quickly just trying to be like, I want to take a step back and just be the guy doing stuff. No attention.
Was it sort of like an added pressure to do the team tasks? Because you've got those, you've got Laura and Guy there as well.
Yeah, because with the solo tasks, you're your own editor. But then the moment you have a team task, you're like, well, I have to make sure that everyone's on the same page with this. And I think we all approached it that way. Everyone wanted to be accommodating, which kind of slowed us down because no one was making an executive decision straight away. But by the end of it, I'm so glad the rap task was the final one, because by that point, we kind of all had figured, oh, no, it was the kid show. The kid show was when we figured out, right, we know all of our places.
Right, yeah. Like, how did you even come up with the puppet show? Because it was so specific. about puberty, and then also like the history of New Zealand. Like,
so we had 45 minutes to do that task, and we spent the first 20 minutes coming up with a topic, and we were scared. I remember that point. We're like, we don't have anything. Oh no, what are we gonna do? And then we finally just went, let's do it on puberty. And then we read the task again, and they were like, most educational. And then Guy just straight away went, let's bring facts into this. I was like, okay, cool. So he just started coming up with the facts. Laura was like, I need to make some songs for this and write down what we're going to talk about. And I was like, I'm just going to make some puppets. I've got some puppet. I love crafting things. I like making little doodads that do one twisted thing. And I'd done a bit in my show before where and this is going to get a bit R18, but I'd done like a live, I wanted to make a live action hentai scene where I had pictures of furry cartoon animals. I'd cut out the crotch and I'd shove the toothpaste container out the back of it. And every night I would fill it up with corn flour, with like thick corn flour. And so it would look like I'm getting bukkakied by these furry creatures. And then I filled one with like chocolate custard. So I knew that was like a gag that I could, like I had in the back of my head. I was like, I can add that to the puppets. I saw the glue. I was like, I'm doing that gag. Saw the thing. So by the end, I just showed my puppets to them. They were like, okay, cool. And then we just improv'd the the puppet show. We had the outline and we just like, let's see what happens.
I
and by the end of it,
there is no other walk of life where you would have to bring in those puppets to any scenario.
Oh man, yeah. It's those golden moments where everything kind of just clicks and it works out. And you're like, yay, awesome. So glad I was able to be part of this.
Absolutely. Golden moments. I think my favorite task of the whole series has to be a team task. It has to be the write a diss track about the members of the other team. And this, I'm just guessing, but I'm sure this is the one that people come up to you or message you about the most. I don't know. It's surely like that's the one that I would want to ask about because it is so funny. Like I can't believe how hard the freestyling goes.
Yeah, it really caught me off guard. I really thought the kids show, I really thought the puppet show would be the one that everyone goes, wow, that was cooked. But the rap one, everyone just really gravitated towards it. And I mean, I love it. I'm so glad that that's the one everyone really enjoyed. Knowing that we had Laura in the team, I remember Matt Nerschler never met any fuckers worse than you.
Yeah.
I remember she came up with that like straight away. Like that was our lead-in line that we went in with.
That was
and
hard.
We were just like, yeah, it went hard, eh? It went hard, and it just really cemented the fact that we're going in on this. And then like then Guy and Laura were like, okay, let's make the outline of the rap. So they made sure that okay, we have a chorus, we have a hook, and we have and we all have a verse. And then they just noticed, okay, well, David's in his own world. Let's let him just do what he wants to do. Like they were like, we can trust him to come up with something. And so it was really nice for them to just take care of that and just let me go in. And I remember they were both sitting there and I was like, there's a bowl of spaghetti here. Why is no one eating this? And so I went into the kitchen. I was in the kitchen going through trying to write stuff down because I don't write rap because I only freestyle. And I think it hindered my actual verse because all of a sudden I was trying to work on paper. But I remember I was really gutted when they cut out all of the spaghetti eating because I think I ate like 2 bowls of spaghetti in that time. And it wasn't just the eating spaghetti, it was me waiting by the microwave, going fucking what you got? Just trying to freestyle while waiting for the spaghetti. I went into the fridge, I found slices of cheese because I love cheese on my spaghetti. It was a great time. It's a great time, Owen.
Yeah, it definitely helped it. I definitely go through your freestyling about just in general in life. I'm just if I'm just waiting at the train station, I'm just there going, I'm gonna drown you in your own blood. Got your face down in your own blood. Yeah. And
what?
It's good. Honestly, it's so funny. I love it all. Even just the fuck you, us.
Oh, that really means, oh my God, Owen, the fact that you knew the exact, cadence of that bit, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, what the fuck? When I said that, I didn't. You don't know how it's gonna go. I just was like, well, I gotta finish it. Like I can't. I remember when I was like, gonna. I was like, bro, you need to say another word. Like that wasn't a choice. That was like me stalling for time because I hadn't thought of anything.
I see how it went so well. Like that. I think that's my favourite one. Second to Matt Heath, rep him in a shoelace, have his body hanging from this pool place, and then
from this pool place, yes.
And then Guy's just like, can't wait to hear his Christmas song.
Which turned out to be like so sweet. what that rap was. Yeah. Oh man.
And honestly, I'm not lying there. I constantly watch it all the time, and I'm always singing the rap bit. It is so funny. I absolutely love it.
It honestly means the world to me because freestyling was something that like I was really insecure about. Every time I freestyled, all my friends would be like, bro, you need to stop doing that. That's very cringy. Can you stop freestyling? It's honestly so bad. And I used to live in a flat full of comedians, and me and my other mate would just get really stoned and just freestyle like every day. I think for like 6 months. But at that point I didn't understand flow. We were just trying to make the words rhyme.
Yeah.
But by the time it got to that task, I understood like, okay, well, you got to make it like fun to listen to. And so for it to be received this well, it's given me the confidence to like really give it a good shot and try to, entertain that side of my skill set. So I might make some other stuff, but who knows? I don't know. See how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. The foundations are there.
Yeah. Now I'm like, okay, now I actually like have to get good. I know. But it's honestly because we're stuck in a lockdown. Like, what else am I gonna do? So if I can come out of this lockdown with a new skill, I'll be pretty stoked.
I don't know. Same. Another team task that I have to mention is the famous Sabotage task. Like, did you have no idea that Laura was sabotaging you?
No idea, bro. No idea. Bro, when that task finished, when Laura got told about that, she came into the green room and she was pissed. She was like, guys, I can't tell you now, but I'm not happy. and me and Guy were like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, you'll find out later, but I'm not happy. And it wasn't until we got to the record that we found out that she was trying to sabotage us the whole time. We had no idea at all. Another regret I have from the show is pulling the finger at Laura. And like, because I got so swept up in the moment that I was like, yeah, we won, and then like, but then it quickly, like, I realized I'm pulling the fingers at my friend. Like, that's not cool. Like,
yeah, that was a really real moment. I remember because they kept that in the show when you had the celebration, then you sat down, you went, oh, I'm so sorry for doing that. I apologize for that.
Yeah, I remember I kept, because there are tasks in the show where like sometimes because you're just going straight to the next task, you sometimes harbor some of the emotions that kind of happen in that task. And I just remember going to the live task and I just remember feeling like a bit like down on it. And I just really wanted Laura's forgiveness. Yeah. In that moment.
Yeah. Because she seemed, at the beginning, she did seem that she didn't want to do it whatsoever. Because she went, oh, they're my twins. And I was thinking, oh, this is going to be good. Because she told me that before she was pulled aside, like you had like a team meeting in the green room, like, come on guys, we've got to stick together, we've got to make a plan and stuff like that. And then she has to sabotage the next task. She said she felt really bad, but it's just one of the things. But yeah. Would you have done it? They said that you wouldn't have done it, but how would you have sabotaged the team? Like, to be honest, I think you were quite a sabotage anyway, because you just ran off.
Yeah. I think I did worse for the team than if I actually got told to sabotage the task. Like if I got told to sabotage the task, I would have gone so insular that what I would have planned would have actually helped the team more, because it would have just put me out of the side and they could have just gone in hard. But I remember just thinking, I need to get something that can hold a lot of balloons. So I just ran for the shed and I gotta get a trolley. And I remember it was grass. So I was like, I can't push this trolley. I gotta lift it. And so I spent most of that task trying to lift a trolley there, trying to transport helium balloons. There's no top on the thing, Owen. There's no top on the thing. They're just gonna float everywhere.
We don't even see you with the trolley. We just see a trolley fly out of nowhere. It just comes into shot.
Oh, Guy did so well. And I remember going, oh, I hope Laura's okay, because she like properly rolled her ankle. And
yes.
It was like an actual moment. We're like, oh no, is this? Oh no.
It was genius. And 0 points for Laura on that task, and the full five for you. But I think Laura had that sort of lead where she probably could lose a few points and still win in the end. And definitely the last episode as well for you. I think you won it by about 6 or 7 points. That in the last episode, I think you smashed it. So was there ever at the last episode you thought, okay, this could be, I could at least try and get second? Because I think you were at 4th. I think at the start of the episode. And I think you got it back up to 3rd. I'm only mentioning it because there is Taskmaster fans out there that absolutely love the stat side of it. And they love, analysing that, Guy could have won if he did this in this task, or Jeremy voted it this way, or whatever. So we love the stats for it. And I think you are top of, the creative tasks, or second, I think. So, but I think the measured task is the one where you go quite low.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that the creative tasks were more suited to you rather than the measured ones?
I remember thinking prize tasks is what I could really go handies at. But then my respect for Laura just grew massively throughout the season, because I really had no scope of what everyone was going to do. But I was like, I'm the props guy. Like, you should be able to make something. I got to put a little bit of heart into every prize task that I make. Actually make it. They gave you an option. They were like, you can either bring something that you think will really hit it, come up with a really good explanation, or you can make something. And I was like, I need to make something so I have an actual connection to this prize. But Laura's Steal Your Girlfriend task was just so iconic. Come on, so good.
The best of that series, I think. That prize is
incredible, right? Incredible. What was the question again? I've just gone back to gassing up my friends.
No, you just touched on prize tasks. I was hoping to come to them, because how did you sort of find the prize tasks? Did you think, this, as you mentioned there, do you think this is the moment where I can shine a bit here with those prizes and get those points?
Yeah, I was always like, the prize task is where I can really show my style of comedy, which is I really just love dipping into that. It looks shit, but I can tell he put some time into this. It's he thought about this, but he didn't pull it off, and that's where I really love to kind of play in. And so I think for the best green thing, I kind of had 2 ideas for a prize task, and I ended up going with green screen, because after talking to because I got one of the producers to go well, which one do you think would read better on TV? But the original idea for best green thing, I was gonna smoke a joint and blow all of the smoke into a balloon, and then I was gonna put a $20 bill, which is green over here, into the balloon, and then duct tape it with green duct tape onto a 5 meter by 5 meter sheet of green. And they were like, I think the green screen will read better, bro. There was that one, and also the one that I actually got 5 points for, which was the 2 most different things.
Yes.
My first idea that I threw at them before they were like, no, health and safety will not let you do that. I wanted to bring in dry ice and a wet flame. So I wanted to bring in,
God.
yeah. So I wanted to bring dry ice, which is, you know, like icy CO2, and then also bring like methylated spirits, but like light it on fire. I was like, how can you look? I brought in both things and have overcrossed each other. But they were like, yeah, we didn't get it cleared with health and safety. But either way, I'm glad that I ended up going with custard and a cinder block, because I think that looks funnier. Like the other one looks like, oh, he's really tried with this one, but the cinder block and custard, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly. Well worth the 5 points. I think Cinder Block Custard sounds like a cool indie band name, doesn't it?
Yeah, surf music. They play like fucking not Paul Williams, but like, you know, like there's like, yeah, I don't know. What am I doing? What am I doing, Owen?
You should start that band. You should Yes, you should. The calendar as well for the most futuristic thing. It's brilliant, and you're selling it. You're doing the calendar now, aren't you? You're selling the calendar.
I'm selling it because so many people hit me up about it. I didn't go into that going, what a great marketing opportunity. I really should give this a good shot. I just remember going, I have nothing for futuristic thing. What the fuck am I going to do for this? But I'd also just finished making another show, like my live comedy show. And I got my girlfriend and a friend to I think I just wanted to make shapes. So like, you know, the Yum Yum Petrol and and all of the green screen stuff. I made all of those poses to begin with to warm up. And then afterwards, one of my friend was like, can you make a letter of the alphabet? I was like, yeah, okay. So I made a letter, and then I ended up going through the whole alphabet. And then I looked through them, and then I really refined it. And then I just kind of sat in front of my computer going, I have a whole font of me. I could make this into, like, what do I do with this? And then I think it was kind of just me giving up and being like, well, I could make a calendar and then write my name on all of them. And then lo and behold, another moment of just like gold that I didn't realize was right there, and people really enjoyed it. And I was like, great, awesome. Thank you, Taskmaster, for pushing me like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to get one. I'm not sure what the shipping would be from over in New Zealand to here.
So it's not done through me. So, okay, I'm going to plug it real quickly. It's on lulu.com, or you can just go to my Instagram at David Post Office, and there's a link in my bio. But it's done through some company in the US or the UK, and they make it on site, and then they deliver it straight to you. So you pay like normal kind of like delivery fees. Bro, I didn't get an example made first, like a sample. Right. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm so scared that it's going to be so fucked and everyone's going to be so angry and be like, dude, what the fuck is this calendar? This calendar sucks. What the fuck is this? You've caught me at a moment where I'm so scared. I don't know how it's going to go.
I will let you know as soon as I get it, because it's going to be on my Christmas list for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think as well with like the Yum Yum Juice, the calendar, and the
green screen?
The green screen, yeah. You just being half naked as well on it is just, I think I've seen you half naked more than anyone else this year. I think.
And you sound like every single audience member that's been to my live show. I used to get fully naked, but then Louis C.K. made that uncool. And so I was like, I guess I got to put underwear on now.
Yeah. So, nice one, Louis C.K.
Thanks for running that gag, mate.
Another prize task as well I've got to talk about is best voucher, because you won that one as well. Mm-hmm. How you're gonna just beat everyone else's voucher by 10%. Like, was that a big risk because you didn't really know what the other the vouchers were? You just thought the gag is perfect anyway. This is just going to work. Like,
yeah. So I don't know if you have it. I don't know if you have this culture in the UK. I remember that task. I went to one of my friends, Josh Davies, who's also a comedian, and I was just like, bro, I have to make all these prize tasks. And he was the one that kind of helped me make that task. And it was based off the idea that in New Zealand we have hardware stores, and they're always like, if you find a better price, we'll beat it by 10%. So I was like, that's the gag. That's the gag. I have to make a coupon that matches everyone else's. The 10% means that I have an excuse to be better than everyone else's. Yeah. And then I didn't realize, like, another moment that just worked out, they like, because it was partnered with something else, it just made the other gag funnier.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely, because obviously, I've got to ask, how was the kiss with Ursula?
She enjoyed it. She was like, the bed's a lot softer than I thought going in. And at the time I was also like, oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble. Because they were like, you gotta be about 10%. So I'm like squeezing her butt, and I'm like, I hope this doesn't come across badly. I hope they leave in the part at the start. But I like the way that they showed it.
Yeah, and the squeezing of the butt must be the extra 10%.
Yeah, that's the 10%. Because no tongue.
That would have been a great way to end the show.
Yeah, Disney kiss. A Disney kiss. That's all you get, Taskmaster.
Yeah, I think Guy suggested that the extra 10% was a thumb up bum. I don't think that would that would read well.
That was the closest I could go.
Right, I've got some fan questions. I told you that was a part of the Facebook group, and I told them that you were coming on the show. They were absolutely made up, and I told them to send me some questions to ask you. So I'm just going to read them out, and you can answer them to the best of your ability. Okay. So it says, can you drive now? And if not, would you consider Paul as your driving instructor?
I've had a few driving lessons. I've got my flatmates helping me out, but I just hate driving. I hate the whole experience of it, and I just keep finding reasons to put it off. But here's hoping I get my restricted soon. You know, pray for me. Thoughts and prayers.
I will. I'm praying that you'll pass. I've got another one. Do you have a favourite moment or quote from the show? P.S. Mine was, do you know how many cans I sucked off for you? And that was from Samantha.
Oh, thank you, Samantha. That's very lovely. Favorite quote? There was a gag, and I don't think it didn't really read through in the episode, but in one of the episodes, we all had a turn going, you're a real fuck, Paul, because I think it was the 5th episode, and he just shafted us all in like some kind of way. And I think, it caught on very quickly, and we all just were like, you fuck, Paul. And we all said it in our own ways, and that was my favorite. That was my favorite moment. I think favorite quote. Either that or you got a real thick dick, bro. You got some real circumference on that thing. Okay, there's another, and one more. I got one more. This is the one that made Guy laugh, and I think that's why I really liked it. But when Paul called me out for tries being 4 letters, and then we go, oh, you're fucking autocorrect now. That was also a quote I was really happy with.
Loads of brilliant quotes. And another question I've got is, let me get it up. Is are you a fan of the original Taskmaster? And if so, do you have a favourite contestant from the UK series?
Yes, I really love Asim and Paul.
Yes,
Chowdhury. Yeah. Both different spelling, both incredible contestants. I really loved Tim Vine as well. I really love that he committed to the pun. Like, you can just see, like, I don't know. I have a real respect for that kind of thing. People who really commit the whole way. So I think those are like my 3 favorite contestants.
Yeah.
And also Guz in this season. Oh, big brilliant. Fucking fan.
Guz is so brilliant, especially when he's like, especially was like, there's a task about being cool, and like he burns himself trying to be cool. He goes shit.
Yeah. I love it. Love those guys.
And of course, Rose Matafeo was on season 9 of Taskmaster. Do you know Rose, and how did you find her being on the show?
Yes. So Rose is also part of the improv group.
Oh, brilliant. It's coming to think that everyone in New Zealand is a part of this improv group.
You have no idea. There are a couple of comics that aren't really a big fan of this group because a lot of them keep getting work on TV. And also, to add to that, Brinley is also part of the improv group as well.
From season 1, yeah, of course.
They're all there. But yeah, Rose is lovely. I'm a really big fan of Rose. I think she's done like incredibly especially like just bringing the name of New Zealand comedy like on a world stage. When she won the Edinburgh Fringe Award, it was like such big news. Such big news that she won. So yeah, really big fan of it. The fact that we're like the same age really like makes me go, what the fuck are you up to, David? Her task where she did the where they had to make the board game and they did Buckaroo. Very great. We love that.
It's brilliant. And I'm sure she would love to go on the New Zealand Taskmaster. I'm not sure what the rules are about doing crossovers, because I'm sure she'd love to be on that. So would you ever go over to the UK and do the Taskmaster over here?
I would be apprehensive to it, you know, because it's like it feels like you're overstaying your welcome. Like I'm happy with my season, and I think there's no point bringing in another person to give it another go when you have so much other talent out there. That's, you know, the opportunities it brought me, I want that for other people as well. You know, so I'm happy to end it there. I'm happy that I get to end on, you know, untying shoelaces. Really stoked.
I think that's good, and I'm glad, because I think it would break you. I think it would, because I think Greg could be a lot harsher than what Jeremy is, and Greg is at the stage where he just doesn't give a shit about what he says or what points he goes. Like in the latest episode, when he gave the points out for the prize task, he was generally shouting at the camera, going, "Do something about it. Tweet me at Greg Davis if you have a problem."
Yes, I loved that moment. I thought that was so funny. I thought it was so funny. And I mentioned it in the other Taskmaster podcast. But I'm very intimidated. I'm very intimidated by a lot of the UK comics, because I understand like the hierarchy that it kind of falls on. And so I think getting on there, I would be a lot more timid to begin with, and I'd be like, I don't think I'd be able to go as hard as I did with the New Zealand one, because in the New Zealand one, it felt like a safe space. It felt like I could really just have some fun with it. Yeah, I love watching it though. It's a great time. Love those compilation videos on YouTube. Fantastic time.
I've got another question. It is, can we hear a sample of Saint Nick Give Me Back My Shoehorn?
Saint Nick, give me back my shoehorn. I don't want to eat. Fuck, I forgot it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I can't deliver.
Don't worry. That was all I needed. All I needed was that first line. I felt like I was in the TV.
I'm glad. I'm sorry, bro.
No worries. Like the last question that I've got is, what were some of your highlights from your trip to Christchurch with Paul? You mentioned it earlier in the podcast. What was one of the highlights from the trip?
I think the highlight was just getting to really know each other on that trip and just hanging out. And I think at the very end, just seeing my parents, because I got to like catch up with my parents, and Paul got to make my appearance. And I didn't realize at the time that Paul was a really big fan of Cookie Time, which is where my dad works. And so we've always just got cookies like around the house. And so to give that to him, I was like, oh yeah, thank God. I felt bad because I said I was going to give him a Wi-Fi password so he could go online. I never gave him the Wi-Fi password. I felt real bad after I realized I didn't do that. So just chilling in a room with no internet. I was like, fuck. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight.
Yeah, he got cookies though, and I can't believe you got 1 point for it. Because you're like that. He had cookies and everything. You met my parents. That was it. You met my parents.
Was so real. That was so real. And I think people have said, like, they were at the recording, they were like, yeah, they didn't capture the full heartbreak that I had on that time.
It is so many highs and lows, and it's such a great series. I hope Taskmaster New Zealand continues, and I hope, hopefully, are you coming over to the UK soon, whenever everything's back to normal, like Edinburgh Fringe and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Edinburgh Fringe. Like, it's honestly my dream place. It's like my Disneyland. Like, whenever I go there, I just get to catch up with all my friends that don't feel like friends when I'm here, but then when I'm over there, I'm like, yeah, get to hang out. So yeah, as soon as I can get over to Edinburgh, I'm bringing a new show over there. The one I'm doing right now, I think, because it's I'm really proud of this one, and so I just really can't wait to bring, because it's just a fun show. and I can't wait for other people to see it in Edinburgh.
Absolutely.
Especially like now that there's like people who know me, and bro, people would come to my shows and they would regret it because people would say, hey, go to David's show. And they're like, what is it? It's like, I can't explain it. And then they'd turn up and then they'd be like, what the fuck was that? And then they'd leave and then they'd go back to their friend and they'd be like, bro, what was that show? And they're like, it was great, right? It's like, no, I brought a first date to that show. we're not hanging out ever again. Yeah. So be able to go to like Edinburgh next time and people know what they're in for, be a real treat.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and to end the podcast, I'm going to do a very original thing of asking you to rate the podcast from 1 to 5 points. I'm not sure if anyone does that on any other podcast. I'm not sure.
Owen, I'm going to give you 5 points.
Yes.
5 points, bro.
I'll take it.
I was very impressed by the way that you interview and that you host this podcast. You're very good at just giving time for a guest to just speak, and also you're listening, and I can hear that you're listening, and you're also the way you balance everything, bro. You're really good at this, so I really hope you keep this up.
Oh, David, thank you so much. That really, really means a lot, and you are welcome anytime to come back on the podcast. Honestly, it's been great. It's been great. Absolutely. So thank you very much, David.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Owen.
I'll see you soon.
Hey, have a good one. Are we going to end right now? Are we just going to...